Hey, this is pregame Miles. I think I dropped my camera or something because when I dumped the footage into the editor, it all came out looking like this. We do love that cat flag shirt though, and the audio is great, and it's been about a week. So, unlike the MCU, I'm not reshooting. We're just moving forward. There's plenty of video I can drop in. You've now seen my face with my voice coming out of it, so you know I'm not AI. This room is full of ado, but no more. No more ado. Into the video. Thanks. I've never sold a screenplay, but I've written a few comic books. I've sold some comics. One of the books I'm in, the anthology, Faster Than Light, Volume 2, was just at San Diego Comic-Con, and I personally didn't have to go to San Diego. That is probably one of the coolest things I can say about my career this year, is that, even when I'm not physically at places, I'm still there. So that's super dope. Check out Faster Than Light Volume 2. I do believe the Kickstarter, you still have like a week to get on the Kickstarter for that. So do it. It's a sweet-ass book. The theme is families in the future. It's the second volume of it. Sarah Cook, the editor, is just like one of kind of my favorite people at cons. She's, one of the favorite ladies working right now. I mean, that's fucking sweet, right? It's another day in paradise. Speaking of paradise, I did really enjoy that show, especially just the music. I'm a music lover, obviously. Any of you who know me very well or spend much time on this channel see it's like 85% music. I'm going to do some more of these like videos where I'm just talking about things and sci-fi shows. Probably mostly sci-fi. Probably comic. I think, the last one I did was the one about Captain America not mentioning Detroit to Thanos. What the hell? That is a serious failure to Captain America right there. Seriously, but anyway, there's a whole other video about it. It's got terrible AI imagery in that. I apologize for that. Anyway, I'm a big music dork. And I do love that, the president in that show is a music dork. And especially that he has very sus taste, to say the least. I really enjoy the teenagers in the library trolling through the cassettes and just been like, what is the whackness that has infected this era? But, he just loves some real 90s adult contemporary to the hilt, which, you gotta ride. You gotta ride for your sound, Ride for your sound, even Yacht Rock. No, you can't get mad at Yacht Rock. Why you gonna get mad at, man? But it was so, you knew immediately as soon as that, bad musical choices were gonna be a meme, especially with the whole thing about the underground city. That we built the city for rock and roll was going to be like half an episode or something like that. That was destiny. Although if the president had been a hipster instead of a cornball, he would have gone with "We Can Be Happy Underground" by Ben Folds, and that really would have been the best. That's that's the timeline I wanted to escape to right there. But the real question out there for fans of Paradise and Apple TV, if you, I don't really mess with Apple products, but I do love some Apple TV. The fact that they got Kurt Russell and, homeboy from Lodge 49 to play the same dude in the Godzilla show. Chef's kiss. Fucking Severance, of course, I seem spiritually allergic to Ted Lasso. I just don't think I'm ever going to do that. Did Paradise just eat the Silo Season 3's lunch? No book spoilers. And speaking of book spoilers, Foundation people, all right, slow the F down. Slow all the F way down. All right, this is almost as bad as some of like Blurred Tube when the crack cone era of the X-Men came out. And it was just like, people can't physically get to the bookstore before you just start dropping videos with spoilers in them. So, all my favorite YouTubers that have read the Foundation books, we've been waiting for the Foundation books, the show. The first time I even whispered it, like I said, I don't even really mess with Apple stuff, but this was just on my list as soon as I even heard anything about it, because it's just been, like, since I've learned how to read, like, I've been up Isaac Asimov's butt, and your Foundation's just like one of the gold ones, and especially the
way this show is kind of just like, hey, there's probably only got to be one Asimov show ever, right? So let's just do all the Asimov stuff. We can kind of slide in here somewhere. And the first couple seasons, honestly, didn't really feel very Asimov. One of the first couple things that kind of hit me was like, oh, you know what the real sci-fi in Isaac Asimov is? Is that, like, bad guys just, like, stop what they're doing because they get new information. It's like, oh, you mean what I was doing the whole time was actually terrible? Okay, I'll stop. Rationalism as a religion, as a widespread occurring phenomenon in human behavior. That's the real science fiction that ever had. You know, creating robots and, like, you know, 1,000-year space dynasties is, you know, that's, of course, that stuff was obvious. But, you know, the real science fiction is that, you know, people will stop doing bad things once they understand that the things they're doing are bad. You know, like, you know, there's a lot of that floating around the internet where it's like, oh, well, if I just point out this person's toxic behavior, then they'll be like, oh, yeah, you're like, I see the light when, you know, half of them really, you know, the toxicity is, you know, it's what they came for, you know, like, right? And Foundation, the first couple seasons wasn't what I signed up for about Foundation, you know. I do constantly get the feeling it's like, you know, if someone was making a show about the Bible and they were like, you know, we love this, you know, it goes from the beginning of time, there's an epic battle at the end of history, good versus evil, you know, there's snakes, there's floods, all the epic crap. You know, we even have this protagonist guy, Jesus, is the son of God. You know, how cool is that kid? He's got the hookup. You know what I'm saying? He just walks around meeting people and doing miracles, you know. That's pretty cool. But then, I don't know, this part where he just gets captured by the government and then murdered, and that's kind of spicy. I don't really know if you want to go around saying a bunch of controversial stuff like that, you know. That's like, you know, like rejecting money and rich dudes not getting into heaven. Seems kind of that's not network television. So I was thinking, you know, there's a great moment actually where he just had a great meal with his buddies, and he goes to the garden to pray at night, and you know, in the standard version, the Romans roll up, you know, and they snatch him, you know, and they take him off. They even run into one of his dudes, you know, on the way out. And they're like, hey, don't you know this guy? And old Pete's like, oh, no. I don't know, man. I've never seen him before in my life. You know, like a couple of times, you know, it happens over and over. And Pete's just like, nah. Never met that guy. He's like, right. So, no, this, man, both these guys look bad, right? So what we need to do, Romans roll up, you know, up on Jesus, praying, you know, fucking praying, you know, trying to figure out what's going on in the garden. Romans roll up. Pete's like, hey, Jesus, you know, when he tosses Jesus the stick, you know, and then they handle things. You know what I'm saying? Now that's a better scene. Yeah, you know, like the Foundation has a lot. Like the main character in the books, like literally his mantra is like, violence is the last solution of a feeble mind. Like there's always, this is like going back to that, just like, oh, people just stop doing bad things when they understand the world a little bit better. That's all. People just do bad things so they don't understand. They don't see the whole big picture. The TV show is a lot more of like the only person that knows how to use a gun in a colony of nerds. You know? Yeah. You know, Salvador Arden is just really bringing the hard, you know, all the time. You know, and it's, you know what? I love Lee Pace. I would watch a TV show about Lee Pace watching paint dry. So, once again, I was already signed up for day one to watch all of this. It is one of the best looking shows, like, that's been produced in, like, 20 years. Better, it makes Scorsese movies look like they're made out of cardboard. You know, like, Isabella Laughland, I would, give me the show about her watching paint dry, because I need to see that show. I need 37 seasons, you know, in a movie about that. You know what I'm saying? Brother Constance, you know. Yo. But season 3 is actually starting to really feel like I had to like go back and start. I got the books on tape, you know, the Foundation and Empire, and I've been running through that, being like, because you know, like all the way from season 1, just even having psychic premonition. That's very unmule. You know, like that scene where the mule shows up on the Pleasure Planet Island and it's just like, hey, you know, goes to the guy and is like, I'm gonna right now. You want to fight now? I don't even need anybody because your whole army is just gonna kill each other. You're like, that's not the mule. That's Toyo Harada. All right, if you read some Harbinger, that is a classic Toyo Harada move. You know, even in teenager years, you know, Toyo Harada's in a place he shouldn't be. All the security guards, you know, in the tri-state area show up. You know, there's just a mob of dudes, a mob on the top of a mob of dudes show up, strapped up, you know, ready for this one kid, you know, especially the younger and scrawnier Toyo is, you know, modern day Toyo's. He's got a business suit and, you know, looks like somebody. All the dudes show up with all the guns, ready to plow this dude down for being on their turf when he shouldn't be there. He just kill each other, and just all the dudes. That's classic Toyo Harada, you know, like that, and you know, just like snapping a dude's neck for showing up late to a meeting. But I do love Toyo Harada. I actually named a cat after Toyo. Never name an animal after supervillain. It's not a good move. Season 3 of Foundation is actually starting to kind of feel like the books. We're getting a lot of kind of book stuff that's really juicy, and so much like the books that people are starting to call spoilers out on the internet. And please, people, chill. Another thing that I really love about Foundation, going back to Lee Pace, is the way that they did Cleon. And actually, I would say both Foundation and Murderbot have a thing they both do that in adaptations is just one of the best things you can do in an adaptation. Even if you don't get like the core story right, you know, or, you know, like I said, you almost tell the inverse story. You can do that, but if this one little thing, I think, still just elevates any adaptation from, like, you know, being a waste of money recycling of something that someone did better in the past to something that could stand up on its own right, and maybe, you know, someone out there can see as an original text, you know, or, you know, there's something that, you know, old fans can take, the new fans, you know what I'm saying, you know, the juice is right there in this thing. They expand on characters that are not very well described in the original text. So what, in the case of Foundation, a Cleon is probably the chef's kiss of adding details to a character that was there, did stuff, but was kind of not really, you know, he was just there to be there and to do the job. He was there to do his job, and then we didn't see much of him. You know, like, in the books, there's an empire, there's emperors, there's actually several different emperors. Cleon is the one that's currently in Foundation and Empire. But, you know, he's one of, you know, several dudes that have run the empire throughout the ages. And as a matter of fact, he kind of, going back to season 3, really bringing that book feel, he's very much like the Brother Night, or Brother Dusk of the current season 3. Like, he's just obsessed with the fact that, like, the Grim Reaper's hanging out right behind him, you know, making plans, and, you know, it's not too chill. You know, right? And he's just like, what can I do to, like, either do something before I die, get one more thing in to really just show that I was the dude, you know, or, like, you know, or to not die, preferably, you know, but, like, you know, so that's kind of because he would, if Isaac Asimov had thought about it, you know, 80 seconds longer, he probably would have had Cleon make a series of clones, because he was very much the kind of guy that was trying to, you know, get around the whole having to die thing while staring it down the face the whole time. So yeah, once season 3 is bringing a lot of book, was where before kind of didn't really feel like the book was popping. And, you know, of course, yeah, having that's also been great to watch, because, you know, every iteration of Cleon is either dawn, day, or dusk. You know, is still their own dude. And we see that best with Lee Pace in season 3 versus even like season 2, you know, or season 1 was probably the most, like, you know, empirical, and, you know, just like the greatest contrast to season 3. You know, actually, I was gonna say that I already forget his name. I want to say Ball, the general, is almost the exact opposite dude. You know, he's almost kind of thinking, like, imagine if Pete Hegseth actually had military experience, you know, Like, in the book, he's like, well, he's a very true believer. As a matter of fact, the Empire is kind of openly collapsing around him. No one else is really riding for the Empire anymore, except your boy, the general, whose name is evading me, who in season 2, they have to coerce into coming to final battle, and, I think they even, like, have to, like, trap their spouse or something like that, like, basically, yeah, we got your spouse, so if you ever want to see him again, like, well, I was already on a prison planet where I was never going to see my spouse again, but yeah, we'll let you watch him die unless you come work for us. How's that? Okay, well, now we're talking, so, I had to be drugged reluctantly and to go fight in this battle. That was a bad idea from the day before it was even thought up, right? No, he was the guy ready to ride or die, even if it was a bad idea, he was trying to get a bad idea. And he was anything that gets the Empire popping again in people's minds and people's lives, in the daily parlance, he was trying to do. So that's another thing. What anyway? But also, yeah, like I just said, they threw in a lot of detail because the original guy was just kind of very two-dimensional. Like, he just wanted to ride for the Empire, and anyone that was talking about anything other than riding for the Empire was, we don't like that round here. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't having it. So, like I said, exact opposite guy, but you can see where they added a lot of depth into that. Well, I do love that. And Murderbot, the show was so good that I didn't know anything about it. I think I got either to the second or last episode or the last episode. Well, no, I think because I'd actually finished the whole first book by the time the last episode aired. So I started going to the audiobooks of that, in like the week between the second and the last episode and the last episode. And I just started sucking them down. Like, I'm halfway into book 5 now, but I probably went through 1 through 4 in the space of 7 or 8 days. Like, I just sucked it all in. The whole preservation crew literally remind me of people I live with. Like, most of the people I've ever lived with would totally be on the preservation planets, Murderbot style. So that's probably why I was just I need more of these characters. One of the things is in the book, because in the books you spend the entire time inside of Murderbot's head, right? Just from the nature of TV and how things are made in TV, it's a lot more of a third-person perspective, as where in books, books have a little more choice about this than this one is choosing to have you just completely always writing in Murderbot's head, but it's just it's very you're just in his ear and he's talking to his own ear and you're just hanging out there with him. And actually the kind of way the books, especially once you get into the later books and his interactions with ships and other kinds of robots and networked intelligences, the sense of having an ear, right, is a kind of a thing, and the way his is different in a lot of ways that people confuse him with being human, but he's definitely not human, and his own not humanness, and in the book, I don't know, I'm sure the TV show might get around to it. That'll be an interesting thing to see how not human he is in the TV show over the course of the seasons. Because, you'd start seeing him as a person. He's very human-shaped. He's got organic parts. But, I don't know. Read the stuff for yourself. But you'll see what I'm saying. His proud utter humanness is delightful. It's very human the way he's not human. But what I was saying, that sense of you're in his ear and the concept of even having an ear, the way the voice in your head sounds and how that works, is played with in some of the later books. When he's interacting with other mechanical systems, they don't have bodies or families or so if they're watching a TV show together, they can't really comprehend anything without seeing other people's reactions, because they do see people on their security. They all have security cameras, the ships and networks or whatever have cameras, and so they see people, and so they understand things in the context of how other people are reacting to things that happen, even when they don't have the capacity to understand the thing. You know, like, what am I getting at? Like, you know, like, the spaceship can't understand that your dog is on fire and inherently just know that it's a bad thing. But then it sees you, it's human, crying because your dog is on fire, and now it understands that the dog being on fire is bad. You know, like, right, there's a lot of that happening in the books that's delightful, and hopefully we'll get to see a fair amount of that in the TV show, because it's one of the best things about those books. But yeah, the way they, but what am I getting at? The humans don't have to be openly as, like, weird. They're definitely still very crunchy granola. Like, preservation is entirely, you know, like a hippie wet dream of a society, right? So they're still very crunchy and granola, but they don't have to be, like, so openly, like, humming we can talk to each other and stuff like in the book, because you're in the murderbot's head, and the murderbot, not being a human, is just already primed to believe anything. Even perfectly normal humans doing perfectly eating a bowl of oatmeal and reading a newspaper blandly as ever, watching a wall of paint dry. I'm glad we can tie everything together here. It's very just primed to believe that humans are weird. Like, even eating a bowl of oatmeal, that's super weird to the murderbot. But since we're not living in the murderbot's head on the TV show, the people have to be a little bit more eccentric, like, to us. So, because when we see it, we go, oh, that's weird. You know, this is weird. You know, like, you know? So we can feel that same level of, like, oh, wow, this human's, oh, man. Like, you know, that you get in the book just from, you know, watching anybody eat a bowl of oatmeal. The rivalry between Murderbot and Garathan is a lovely, like, there's just a couple moments of, like, oh, well, he thinks he can do what I can do, but now he can't, you know, or, you know, he's being the only person that's readily able to, like, hack him on, you know, at a moment's notice. Kind of, you know, makes him just kind of always a little bit of a threat. But, you know, like the interpersonal kind of rivalry that kind of builds up with them in the TV show, you get a little bit of that. It's there. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist, but, like, you know, it's not like an ongoing meme. You just see, like, a couple drops of it to know that it's a thing in the world. But, like, you know, the way they really, because, you know, Garathan's always there. We're seeing everybody all the time, even when they're not doing things, right? Right. Like, that's a huge difference between TV and books, right there, is that you can, in a book, you're only really seeing the people that are doing things, you know, and unless someone that's doing something mentions somebody that isn't doing something, or, you know, talks about them to set the scene or something, like, they're not there. You're only the people that are doing stuff exist in books when they're doing things. Like, writing comic scripts, I always kind of have, you know, this, you know, situation. Actually, one of the first softwares I ever used, I really loved, because it was just a very simple, like, who's in the room? Who's talking? Have they finished talking? Anything else happen? All right, moving on. What's the next room? When is it? Where is it? Who's there? Are they talking? Have they stopped talking? All right, let's move on. Like, you know. But, you know, in visual media, you can have all the people that aren't actually doing something in the room. Like, when we're on these shuttle rides, you know, we have the whole crew in the shuttle, and we could, you know, see their interactions between each other and between their interactions with Motorot. Even when no one's talking, like, they're still able to convey information. So that's always kind of cool. And I guess that's what I was saying about, you know, this really juicy, good writing thing you can do. Yeah, Faster Than Light Volume 2. So, I think that's a whole video, just about. I said what I came to say. Thanks for coming in. I should hype all my Patreon people. Feel free to join Patreon. Most of these videos that I'm going to start making on YouTube will have a Patreon version, and most of those videos, I made a couple music references in this. I've got other videos that are going to be more about music, or like there's a song that's a bit that's maybe crucial. I haven't decided if the Patreon version of this is going to have a like a cut with like, what if they actually did use We Can Be Happy Underground? Maybe I'll do that in the Patreon version of this video. But most of those videos, what I'm saying is that the YouTube videos won't. They're all gonna have the songs cut out for copyright reasons. But on the Patreon, if you join that, those will be full things with all the music included, and especially the ones that are about music. I will, have a lot of music on the Patreon, but the shorter, cut down versions with less copyright stuff in them are going to be here on YouTube. So if you like this and want to see a little bit more of it, somehow I didn't ramble enough for you, please join me over there. Join me over there and at all, because it helps me get books made. I've been pumping out cassettes all year. I'd like to get some vinyl done in these last couple months of the year, but that requires money, so Patreon helps a lot with that. Like I said, there's more of these videos. There's videos that are on the Patreon that aren't on YouTube at all. There's a whole movie about my band Marvin the Robot called The World Between Our Ears. That's only on Patreon. So that's have I sold you on Patreon enough? Have I sold you on the Patreon enough? Otherwise, come to just my website, dreamingansible.com. We've got cassettes, we've got comic books, videos. Yeah. All right, that's all my coffee. Thanks for hanging out, guys. Thanks for dropping on my YouTube. Like, subscribe. How we said that. Do the like and subscribe dance right here. I have no idea why people say, see you in the next one. I can't see you. I wish I could, but it's not how any of this works. I can't see you. You can come see me. I would love that. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of the internet, and I hope we meet again soon. All right. I really did. The coffee's done. Happy coffee. Like and subscribe, motherfucker. Like and subscribe, fucking like and subscribe. Like and subscribe, motherfucker. Like and subscribe, motherfucker. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe, motherfucker. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe, motherfucker. Like and subscribe. Oh yeah. Like and subscribe.